Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. We have been doing videos on taking off substructure works, but we haven't done a video where columns are involved. And in today's video, we shall do takeoff for a very simple plan. It's a rectangular plan. If you can see, the dimensions are given from inside the spread to inside the spread, not internal dimensions of the wall, but inside the spread, the foundation spread to inside the foundation spread. And so this is a unique diagram that we haven't covered before, and it is good that you know how to measure if you're given such dimensions. Whenever columns are involved, we have column bases, and if you check the plan, I'll use my highlighter. This part where I'm marking using yellow, they are the column bases. We can see the column bases, and the columns are at the center marked in black. So we have the column bases, and inside the column bases we have the columns, which are yellow in color. Then where we have these broken lines, they are the foundation trenches. So this one, it's the spread on the outside. Then we have the spread on the inside of the foundation spread. So the broken lines are showing the foundation where the trenches will cover. The red lined white is the wall. As you can see how I'm highlighting it in yellow still. All around we have the wall, but at the corners we have the columns. So so I wanted you to understand that for those who needs to know how to interpret the drawings. So we have the plan and the section. The section is section AA. We are cutting it here. So once we view it, we shall see the foundation strip, this one. Here we have the vibrated reinforced concrete, and down here we have the blinding. Then behind the strip we can see the outline of the columns. The columns, which are 1 meter by 1 meter. So at the center we have the walls. These are the walls, and at the same place we can see we have the column behind it, so you'll not be able to see it from here. So then we have I'll use my highlighter. This is the concrete, the oversight concrete, and you can see the dimensions that we are given for the depth is 1000, and it starts from on top of the oversight concrete to where the vibrated reinforced concrete begins. I hope that is well noted. Then below the vibrated reinforced concrete we have the blinding down here. So we have the 50 millimeters blinding, we have the foundation strip, we have the 200 millimeters of hard core, we have the 50 millimeters blinding, then we have 150 millimeters concrete bed. This is the ground level. So from here downwards we have the soil. So that one you have been able to understand. So we shall continue to make good videos for you. This one is based on a question that a student asked, and they sent this drawing. So in case you have any questions, kindly write them in the comment section. If there are questions with diagrams, just email them. My email will be in the description box. If you like our videos, kindly give them a thumbs up so that all other students can be able to find them. If you have been to our channel and you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and even hit on the notification bell so that whenever we post new videos you may be alerted. Here we want students to find it very easy to revise for the exams. So we are here to assist students to revise for their exams. And so if you have come across our channel, kindly subscribe and like our videos, share them to your classmates, tell them about our channel, and let them come and let us walk this journey together. So we shall begin this takeoff. And when we are taking off substructure works with columns, we will start with site clearance. We clear the site. We shall clear the site. Then we shall excavate the oversight to remove all vegetable soil. Then we shall go to excavating the column bases at the corners. Then we shall excavate foundation trenches after the column bases. Then we shall plank and support the the walls of the excavation. Then we shall do the concrete work. The concrete work, we shall start with the blinding, which is done at the bottom before we do the mass concrete. Then we shall do the column bases, the mass concrete at the bases. Then we shall do the mass concrete foundation strip. Then we shall do vibrated reinforced concrete in columns. You see the part that is coming up, the column, which is below the foundation. This is the vibrated reinforced concrete because it have reinforcements. Then we have the stone formwork in column bases. We shall take that off because we need the formwork to hold our concrete, especially when you're doing mass concreting. Then we have stone formwork in foundation strip because there's mass concrete in the strips. Then we have vertical sides of the column. We'll need formwork. Then we shall come to foundation walling, the walls in the foundation. We shall do the hardcore. We shall do the maram blinding on the hardcore. Then we shall do the DPM and anti-termite treatment on the maram blinding. We shall do the formwork all around the walls so that you can do the formwork oversight concrete. Then we shall do the floor bed. Then we shall reinstate the soil around the foundation where it was. So we shall start with site clearance. You see, like in this picture, we shall cut down trees, we shall cut down all shrubs. In case there are buildings, we shall demolish. So let's start measuring how we do the site clearance. Now we have the plan here. We are given 10,000 is from inside the foundation spread to inside the foundation spread. So what area shall we do the site clearance? The site clearance will be done on this area. I'm helping you mark using the red pen. We shall measure all that area that shall be used during excavation. If you follow through, my lines are not so straight, but you can be able to see. They should be straight. They should be straight. All this area, the key points you should note is the column bases should be included in the site clearance. So how do we measure this red line, this area? For the length, we have been given 10,000 from inside the foundation strip to inside 10,000. Then both sides we shall add 200 for the projection on the inside of the spread on the inside of the wall. Here it's 200. Then we shall add 200 for the wall. Then we add 200 for the spread on the outside of the walls. Then we shall add the dimension here. What dimension will be here? If from here the column base is 1000, if the column base is 1000 from here to here, then we have subtracted 200. Let's start. If the foundation of the column is 1000 length, we subtract 200 for the wall. It shall be 800. 800 divided by 2 shall be 400 on every side of the wall. So here it will be 200 and these other 200. So from here, where we have measured 10,000 up to the inside of the wall is plus 200. Then we add the wall 200. Then we add the spread on the outside of the wall 200. Then we add 200 for the column spread. So as you can see, the projection on the inside, this one is on the inside of the wall. We shall add 200 times 2 on both sides, this side and this side. Good. Then we add the wall 200 this side and this side and the other side. Then projection of the strip on the outside. On the outside, we add 200. Then projection for the column, it shall be, you add another 200. So the total length for site clearance shall be 10,000. Not better. We have said it's 10,000 because 10,000 measures from the inside of the spread for the strip to the inside of the spread for the strip on both sides.
So to get the total length of the wall, we have taken 10,000. We add 200 on both sides for the spread of the foundation strip for the wall. Then we add the width of the walls. Then we add the spread for the walls on the outside. 200 plus 200. Then we add 200 plus 200 for the spread of the columns. So it will be 10,000 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400, we get 11,600. We shall do the same for the width. 8,000 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400 plus 400, we get 9,600. So we shall come and fill them in the takeoff sheet. 11.60 and 9.60. Cover the sides of all bushes, grass, undergrowths, and burn away all arising. Excavate away 150 millimeters deep to remove vegetable soil and deposit it in soil heaps on site average 100 meters distance from the site. So all that area where we shall do the site clearance, we shall also excavate away the vegetable soil for the same measurements. Then
now we shall move on to excavating the column bases. The column bases are below the columns, and we said the columns are the corners. The black parts are the corners here. They are the column bases. I am highlighting for you. The column bases is these broken lines around the columns. You see, this area, this yellow area that I'm highlighting is the column base. And this is the section now, the section AA. Good. So when we are excavating the column bases, remember the column bases we have been told they measure 1 meter by 1 meter. So for the length we know it's 1 meter, and also for the width we know it's 1 meter. What we don't know is the height for excavation of the column base. To what depth shall we excavate from the ground level? Remember, excavation begins from the ground level. First we started with stripping the ground level of all vegetable soil. So after the ground level, we shall remember that we have already stripped 150 millimeters. Okay, let's see from the section we are given here. It's 1,000 from the top of the oversight concrete to the concrete below where we have the strip footing. So if that is 1,000, we need to deduct 150 for the oversight concrete. You see, 150 is above the ground. So 1,000 minus 150 will remain with 850. Then we remember that we had already stripped the sides of all vegetable soil to a depth of 150. So 850 deduct 150, we remain with 700. After we remain with 700, now we shall add the base. We have the 350 here, and we have, you see, for the column base, this whole area is for the column base. So this one we shall add 350, then we shall add 50 for the blinding. So 700 plus 350 plus 50, it's 1100. So we shall excavate 1100 from the stripped level. So excavate column base not exceeding 1.5 meters deep, commencing from the stripped level. Then what shall we do to that soil that volume of soil that we have excavated? We shall add it to refill and ram. There is a heap of soil that we call the refill and ram. Actually, I'll do you a video explaining to you the difference between refill and ram and cut away, because those are two heaps of soil that are involved when constructing. So let's move forward so that you can be able to cover this.
We shall move on to measuring foundation trenches. We usually excavate foundation trenches after excavating the column bases. Now, what area shall we excavate for the foundation trenches? For the foundation trenches, now that we have already excavated the column bases are here. This area is already excavated for the column bases. I'm highlighting it in yellow. This area is already excavated for. So we want to know what area we shall be excavating for the foundation trenches. We have already excavated the column bases. So the remaining area is the one for the trenches, is the one that we shall measure for, to avoid measuring twice, because the column bases have already been measured for. Good. Now, if I can pick my pen and highlight for you the center line of the foundation trench. You see the trench will begin from like here, and it will come, it should be straight. It will be in between the walls because the trench is 600, so 300 will lie at the center of the walls. So this area, if you follow the red line, it will show you the length that we should measure for when taking the center line of the trench. Then we shall multiply it by the width of the trench and the depth, so that we can get the total volume of soil that we shall excavate for in the trenches. Okay, if we find the length of the red line, we shall have found the center line of the strip footing. Now, how do we find the length of the red line? The length of the red line, we shall first find the length of the center line of the trench, even where the columns are. You see, even where the columns are, let me highlight it using a different pen. Even here, where the column is, the center line of the trench, it was to pass even here. It was even to be here. But now we have already excavated the trench. And the formula that we have for finding the center line of the trench, it will cover the low and the red area length. So using our formula for calculating the center line of the trench, we usually take either the external perimeter, then we deduct the number of corners times the width of the trench, or the internal perimeter, we add the number of corners times the thickness of the trench. So in this case, because we have 10,000 and 8,000, which are the internal dimensions of the trench, we shall use them. So length 10,000, width 8,000. So the total perimeter shall be 8 plus 10, that is 18,000, multiplied by 2 to get the perimeter is 36,000. Then we shall add 4 corners multiplied by 600, which is the width of the trench, and which shall be 2,400. When we add to 36,000, we get 38,400. Then that one includes the red and the blue part. Now we want to deduct the blue part so that we can remain with the red part. If we check on the blue part, it begins at the center of the column up to the end of the column base. To get the center of the column, this length from the center of the column to the end of the column base, we shall take the total length of the column base. The total length of the column base was 1,000. 1,000 divided by 2 was 500. If we divide the total length, which is 1,000 of the column base, divided by 2, it will come to the center of the column. Now that one has given us the length from the center of the column to the end of the column base, which is 500. Here we have 500 for the length and 500 for the width. So we have 1,000 for every corner. How many corners do we have? We have 1, we have 2 corners, we have 3, and we have 4 corners. So 4 times 1,000 for the columns, we get 4,000. So 38,400, we deduct 4,000, we get 34,400. So now we have the center line for the red part, which will be the center line of the foundation trenches, whereby it's not excavated. So it shall be 34.40. We multiply by the width of the trench, which is 0.60, and then we multiply by the depth of the trench. Now, what is the depth of the trench that we shall excavate? If we come to the section AA, from the top of the oversight concrete, so where the concrete begins for the strip footing is 1000. 1000, we shall deduct the concrete bed at the top, because that one is above the ground. It shall be 1000, we deduct 150, then we shall deduct 150 for the excavating vegetable soil. So it shall be 1000 minus 150 plus 150. The total that we shall not excavate is 300, because we are starting from the stripped level. So 1000 minus 300 is 700. Then 700 we shall add 350 for the concrete and 50 for the blinding. 700 plus 350, that is 1050 plus 50, 1100. So this one shall be 1.1. So excavate foundation trenches commencing from stripped level, not exceeding 1.5 meters deep. Of course, 1.1 is not exceeding 1.5 meters deep. And for that soil, you add it to refill and ram. Yani, that soil, we shall use it again. So you add it to the refill and ram.
After excavating the trench, now we shall go to supporting the trench, the sides of the trench, the soil. So it's called planking and strutting to the sides of the excavation trenches. This one we can only measure it inside if it is as in perfectly. So in the BQ we only write item, yani we allow a provisional sum which can which can change when we get to site. So I have already also discussed about the sums that we shall be including in the bill of quantities, and we shall be labeling them as item. So if you want, kindly check out for that video whereby I have discussed the sums including the bill of quantities. This includes the keeping the trenches free from water. We cannot be able to measure it from the drawings, but that one we have to go to site. So we allow a provisional sum. So in takeoff we just write item, but we shall allow the sum in the bill of quantities. So after that we shall go to concrete work, whereby we shall start with blinding. Blinding, we shall start with blinding for column bases. Blinding is that light concrete that is usually applied below the mass concrete, which is 50 millimeters. It's just poured there, so it's 50 millimeters deep, and the thickness of it is 50 millimeters, but the length and the width measures like the column base. So the length is 1 meter, the width is 1 meter, and because it's 50 millimeters thick, the SMM, which gauges us in takeoff, says that it should be measured in area. So how many columns do we have? We have 4 columns. Then they measure 1 meter by 1 meter length and width. So it's 50 millimeters concrete, ratio 1:4:8 blinding, and a column basis. And that volume of blinding, we usually deduct it from refill and run, because that soil we no longer need it, and add it to cutaway. When we are adding it and deducting it from the heaps of soil, we measure it in meter cubic. So that's why we multiply it by 0.05. So we shall take the total volume of the blinding, we multiply by 0.05 to get the total volume of soil, which we shall deduct from refill and run that soil heap that was to be used to refill, and we add it to cutaway, the soil heap that should be used to be disposed from the site. Next we shall measure the blinding for the strip footing. The blinding for the strip footing is under the strip footing, and it's 50 millimeters thick. So to measure that blinding, it's usually measured in square meters too, because it's only 50 millimeters thick, and this is the rules according to SMM. So to find the area of the blinding, we shall take the center line for the strip footing, we multiply by the thickness of the trench. So the strip footing, the width is the center line is 34.40. The width of the trench is 0.60. So we shall write 50 millimeters concrete blending under foundation. Then this area we shall multiply by 0.05 to change it to volume, so that we can be able to deduct from refill and ram heap of soil and add to cut away the soil to be dispersed away from the site. So there's that volume, we shall fill it here. The answer that we shall get here, we write it here, multiply by this, we get the answer. So this volume of soil shall be deducted from refill and ram and added to cut away. So we shall go to mass concrete now in the column bases and in the foundation strip. For the column bases, the mass concrete, we know the length of the column base and the width of the column base. That one you have already been given. Now the thickness, the depth of the mass concrete is this one here. You see all this area here, all this one. For the column, you know the column is 1 meter by 1 meter. Then it was this, it is 350. You see it's 350 millimeters depth. So 0.35. Vibrated reinforced concrete ratio 1:2:4 in column bases, and deduct that volume of soil from refill and ram, because we no longer need it, it has been replaced by the concrete, and add to cut away. Then we go to vibrated reinforced concrete in this foundation strip. In the foundation strip, we have already been given in the drawing. It's concrete ratio 1:3:6 in foundation strip. So vibrated reinforced concrete ratio 1:3:6. Then the strip footing, the center line is 34.4. Then the width of the foundation trench is 0.6. Then the depth is 0.35. So we deduct that volume of soil that has been replaced by the concrete from refill and ram and add it to cut away. We then go to mass concrete in columns. The column now is like this wall, you know, they have overlapped, because once we do the section we shall see the wall, but behind the wall there is a column which is 200 by 200, and as you can see from the plan here, the column and the wall are equal in terms of thickness, the length and the width. So the column is 0.2, 200 millimeters, and 0.2 width. How many columns? There are 4 columns. Then the depth of the height of the columns. The height of the columns will be the columns usually go up to where the slab starts. So we shall take 1000, then we shall deduct 150. So up to the ground level. 1000 minus 150, it's 850. So it shall be 0.85. Vibrated reinforced concrete in column. Then for that volume of concrete that is in the column, we shall deduct it from refill and ram and add to cut away, because that concrete has replaced the soil. So we shall deduct that soil from refill and ram and add to cut away the same volume of soil. Then we shall go to the sawn formwork. To hold the vibrated reinforced concrete, we shall require formwork. So we shall start with the column bases. How many bases of columns do we have there? 4. Then the column base measures 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. So we shall first take the perimeter, which is 4 meters. Then we shall multiply by the depth of the vibrated reinforced concrete at the basis is 0.35. Then because this 1 meter is not covering everywhere around, you see this 0.6 here, this side, we will not have the formwork, and here 0.6, 2 sides. We shall come and deduct it in the next step. So in the first step, we shall assume we are taking all around 4 meters and a depth of 0.35, so that we can get the area for the formwork for the column basis, remember. So then we deduct it for the column basis as 2 two sides, we shall deduct 0.6 for the foundation trench for the openings that shall be left there, then a height of 0.35. Two sides for how many columns? 4 columns. For 4 columns, each column shall have 2 sides which shall be left open, which measures 0.60 for the foundation strip and 0.35 for the depth of the foundation strip and also for the column. So that one we shall have found the total area of the formwork for the column bases. Now we go to the stone formwork for the vertical sides of the foundation strip. For the foundation strip, we shall take the center line, which is 34.40. Then we shall multiply by 0.35, that is the depth of the foundation strip. Then we shall multiply by 2 sides because the stone formwork is on both sides. Then we shall go to vertical sides of the columns. When we are bringing them up to the ground level, we have 4 columns. The total perimeter of the columns of length 0.2 and with 0.2 is 0.8. Then we multiply by the depth of the columns. The height of the columns is 0.85. Good. So the next one, we shall measure the foundation walling. The foundation walling, we need the center line for the walls. Remember, unlike the foundation strip footing, the walls will even be constructed where we have the column bases. Look like this part which I'm highlighting in yellow. You can see this part, we have the wall and it's inside the column base. So the walls, the center line for the walls will be different from the center line of the column bases, from the center line of the strip footing. So now we need to calculate the center line for the walls. If the internal dimensions of the strip foundation spread is 10,000 and 8,000, we have the internal dimensions of the foundation spread from here to here, and we want the center line for the walls. And we know that the center line for the wall lies where we have the center line for the foundation strip. For example, it will start from the center of the column, then it will pass at the center of the walls. I'm just trying to draw a straight line, but it will pass at the center of the walls, like that, just like the center of the foundation strip. Then it shall go all around where we have the walls. I believe you can be able to see it. I'm just highlighting it for my students who are finding it hard to follow, because we care for you. You see, the center line for the wall will pass all around where we have the walls, just like I have highlighted in red. So to find the center line for the walls, we have said that the length is, internal length is 10,000, internal width is 8,000. So the internal perimeter, the perimeter for the inside of the spread is 36,000. To get the center line for the walls, we shall add, because it is the same as the center line for the strip footing, we shall add number of corners times the thickness of the footing. So 4 corners, thickness of the footing 600, and remember we have said we shall take the thickness of the strip footing because it's the same. The center line for the strip footing is the same as the center line for the wall. So we shall add 2400. So we shall get that 400. But remember, at every corner we have a column at the corners, measuring 200 by 200. There, where we have the column, we shall not have the walls. So we shall deduct the columns. So what is the length of the columns that we shall deduct? Remember, the center line usually pass at the center. So if we have the column here, so the center line shall come up to the center of the column, then outside. So from to the center then outside. If from here to here it's 200, and from here to here it's 200, so the column, it will go half into the column 100, then half out of the column 100. So for every column we shall subtract 200. How many columns do we have? 4. 4 times 200, 800. So that is 400, we deduct 800 to get the center line for the walls is 37, 600. So the total area of the wall, we shall take the center line, then we multiply by the depth of the wall. The depth of the wall shall be 1000 from on top of this oversight concrete to here, then we deduct 150 for the concrete bed. So 1000 minus 150 is 850. So we shall go to refill and ram. Remember, we have constructed the wall, so that's volume of the wall that has been constructed. We need to deduct that volume of the wall from the a volume of soil equal to the volume of the wall from refill and ram, and we add to cut away, meaning we are deducting it from the soil that we shall use to refill and add it to the soil that we shall use to dispose away from the site. So what is that volume of the wall? To get the volume of the wall, we shall take the center line of the wall times the thickness of the wall, then we multiply by the depth of the wall. So that's 7.60, that is the center line of the wall. We multiply by the thickness of the wall, which is 0.2, then the depth of the wall is 0.85. Deduct from RFR and add to cut away. So after doing the wall, now we shall go to the hardcore. The hardcore is 200 millimeters depth, as you can see from the section here. So 200 millimeters approved hardcore wall, hardcore, well rammed and compacted. Then on top of the hardcore, we shall do the maram blinding, which is 50 millimeters thick maram blinding. Then we shall treat the surface with hardcore, of the hardcore with insecticide. So this one we shall measure in terms of area, and remember the area that we shall do, it shall be inside the walls. So I shall highlight it here using my red pen. The area where the hardcore shall occupy, it shall be inside the walls. Sorry, I am not able to do very straight lines using my mouse, but it's inside the walls. So we shall take the length on the inside and the width on the inside. So from here where the red is up to here at the end, if this one was 10,000, we shall add 200 on both sides, and it shall be 10,400. So 10.4 and the width 8.4. Then we shall go to the DPM and mass concrete. DPM and mass concrete shall include even the walls. So it shall be from the end of the walls, outside the walls, up to the outside the walls. So from here to here, it shall be, we shall take 10,000, you add 200 plus 200 for the wall. 200 for the external spread plus 200 for the wall. That is 400. 400, then you multiply by 2. It's 800. So it's 10.8 and 8.80. 1000 gauge DPM with 150 millimeters laps and 150 millimeters mass concrete floor bed laid on hardcore and finished to receive. Now we shall measure the formwork that will support the oversight concrete to be in place. So to get the formwork usually lie on the external part of the wall. So you need the external dimensions of the wall. We have 10,000 as the internal dimensions of the spread from here to here. So we need up to outside the walls. So we shall take 10,000 plus 200 on both sides for the spread, then 200 on both sides for the wall. So we shall get the length is 10,800 and the width is 8,800. To get the perimeter on the outside, we shall take 2 into bracket length plus width, 2 into bracket 10,800 plus 8,800. We get 39,200. So 39,200, we shall fill it in the dimension take of sheet 39.20. So formwork to rest edges of floor bed 75 to 150 millimeters wide. So we shall finish with measuring the center line of the reinstatement. Remember, this reinstatement we shall do is outside the walls to return the soil outside the walls so that it can be up to the ground level. We had stripped the foundation. So the walls on the outside, there's a gap between the ground level and the walls we have done because we had stripped where we have done the construction. So we need to return that soil which we had stripped so that the ground level can be even. The house, the construction, and the neighboring soil can take one level so that you cannot to avoid leaving some space. So that one is what we call centering of reinstatement, to return the soil where it was or around the building. So if we wish to calculate the centering of the reinstatement, we need to take the external dimensions of the wall, then we add half of the space that had been left by the strip footing. The space that had been left on the outside was 200. So to get the centering of reinstatement, first we shall find the external dimensions of the wall, then we shall add number of corners times the thickness of the spread on the outside. So the external dimensions of the wall, we take 10,000 plus 200 for the internal spread, plus 200 for the walls. We get the external length is 10,800 and the width is 8,800. So the perimeter we shall get is 39,200. 39,200. Then we shall add the projection. Number of corners, there are 4 corners. Then the spread, the outside spread where we are reinstating the soil, the width of that place is 200. So 4 times 200 is 800. So 39,200 plus 800 to get 41,000. So we shall say it's 41,000 is the center line. Then the width of that place where we are reinstating the soil is 0.4. Then we shall take the depth of the reinstatement is that one we had stripped, 0.15. So we deduct this soil from the spoil heaps because we had already placed it for disposal. Remember, it was the stripped soil. We remove it from the spoil heaps and add to refill and ram. So by that we shall have been able to take off all the substructure works for that building, which was measuring 10,000 on the inside of the foundation spread by 8,000. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, write them in the comment section. We are here to answer all your questions. If you have liked this video, kindly give it a thumbs up so that all other students can be able to find it. If you like our videos, just like them and subscribe to our channel. And we shall continue making good content for you. Continue asking questions and we are here to answer you. So that's all. The best in your